First contact. Admiral Kexnar stood at the bridge of the hegemony's flagship Eternal Dawn, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display of a seemingly unremarkable blue planet. After centuries of expansion across the galaxy, the hegemony had finally turned its attention to this isolated corner of space. Preliminary scans complete, Admiral, announced Senior Analyst Verthi, her crystalline form shimmering under the bridge's ambient lighting. The species calls themselves humans. Pre-FTL civilization. Nuclear capability, but nothing beyond their solar system. No unified planetary government. Kexnar's secondary hearts pulsed with anticipation. Such worlds were usually simple conquests, show overwhelming force, demand surrender, and begin resource extraction. The hegemony had perfected this process across thousands of worlds. Multiple radio and digital transmissions detected, Verthi continued. They appear to be extraordinarily fractious. Thousands of distinct cultural groups, hundreds of nations, constant low-level conflicts. Primitive, Kexnar dismissed. Prepare the standard first contact package. Full fleet display, atmospheric demonstration off. Admiral, Verthi interrupted, her crystalline structure flickering with anxiety. There's something else. The quantum sensors are detecting anomalies. Kexnar turned all four eyes toward her. Verthi was not prone to imagination or unnecessary concern. Explain. The planet's core. It's not natural. There are patterns in the electromagnetic field that suggest artificial manipulation. And the moon, its orbit is too perfect. Before Kexnar could respond, the ship's primary communication array activated without command. A message transmitted simultaneously across all frequencies in perfect hegemony standard. This is a Class 7 protected world. Your presence has been noted. You have 24 standard hours to withdraw. There will be no second warning. The bridge fell silent. Class 7 protected world. It was a designation from ancient texts, stories of worlds so dangerous they were marked for permanent quarantine by long-vanished civilizations. Preposterous, Kexnar declared. Some clever primitive must have decoded our communication protocols. Launch the first wave off. The ship shuddered. Every system simultaneously displayed the same message. 23 hours, 59 minutes remaining. Kexnar felt an unfamiliar sensation. Doubt. In 3 centuries of service, he had overseen the conquest of 87 worlds. None had ever generated this specific feeling of wrongness. Admiral, Verthi's voice had taken on an unusual tone. I've been analyzing their information networks, their entertainment media. For centuries, they'd been creating stories about resisting alien invasions. Thousands of scenarios, strategies, theoretical technologies. It's as if they've been preparing. Fiction cannot hurt us, Kexnar snapped. But even as he spoke, more anomalous readings appeared on the sensor displays. The moon's surface was shifting, almost imperceptibly. Patterns in Earth's magnetosphere began to align into geometric shapes that defied natural formation. Sir, Verthi persisted, they're fiction. It's not just entertainment. They've been wargaming. Every possible scenario of invasion. And winning. Always winning. The ship's quantum computers began calculating defeat probabilities, something they had never done without explicit command. The numbers were concerning. Launch probes, Kexnar ordered. Full spectrum analysis. I want to know what we're really dealing with. The probes never made it past the moon's orbit. They simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. Just gone. 23 hours, 30 minutes remaining. Kexnar felt his primary heart skip. The warning had come from behind him. A human voice, speaking perfect hegemony standard. He spun around. Nothing was there. But the message was clear. Whatever protected this world, whatever force had earned it that ancient Class 7 designation, was very real and very active. Admiral, Verthi's voice had dropped to a whisper. The humans, They're not even reacting to our presence. No panic, no military mobilization. It's as if they don't even know we're here. Or they don't need to, Kexnar finished. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Kexnar of the Hegemony Fleet faced a decision he never thought he'd make. The humans, in their chaotic, fractious existence, had either created or inherited something far beyond the Hegemony's understanding, and they weren't even bothering to acknowledge the threat of invasion. They didn't need to. Plot a withdrawal course, he ordered. Full fleet. Sometimes, he reflected, the greatest power lay not in the weapons you revealed, but in the mysteries you maintained. Earth, it seemed, had mastered that art to a degree that made even the mighty Hegemony pause. As the fleet began its retreat, Kexnar made a note in his personal log. Earth classification updated. Recommendation: maintain distance. The unknown defenses are not the true threat. The true threat is a species so confident in their protection that they don't even bother to look up at those who would conquer them. The greatest predators, after all, never needed to bare their teeth. The hidden guardian. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility unknown to all but a select few humans, Dr. Elena Santos stared at readings that shouldn't exist. The ancient monitoring station, built eons before humanity took its first steps, had suddenly awakened. "Director Chen," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You need to see this." The facility's director hurried over, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays that had remained dormant for decades. The last time they had activated was during the Cold War, and even then, only briefly. "They're here, aren't they?" Chen asked, though he already knew the answer. The facility's quantum sensors, technology far beyond anything humanity could replicate, were tracking a fleet of ships in high orbit. "Yes," Elena confirmed. "The Hegemony, just as the archives predicted. They've maintained position for the last 6 hours, probably conducting preliminary scans." The existence of this facility, and others like it scattered across Earth's oceans, was humanity's greatest secret. Not even world leaders knew the full truth. For centuries, a small group of guardians had maintained these stations, passing down knowledge through carefully chosen successors. "The Sentinel network is responding automatically," Elena continued, gesturing to a complex display of interlocking geometric patterns. "The moon-based defense grid is already online. But there's something else." She pulled up another display, this one showing DNA sequences, the markers in the human genome. "The ones we've been monitoring for generations. They're becoming active. It's happening exactly as the archives said it would." Chen nodded gravely. When humanity's ancient guardians had first established these facilities, they had done more than just leave behind technology. They had modified humanity itself, embedding dormant capabilities within their genetic code, waiting for the moment they would be needed. "How many people are showing the activation sequences?" Chen asked. "Millions," Elena replied. "Concentrated in major population centers. Most won't even notice the changes yet. Subtle improvements in cognitive function, enhanced pattern recognition, accelerated learning capabilities. But if the Hegemony forces an engagement..." She left the sentence unfinished. They both knew what the archives predicted. Under sufficient threat, those dormant genes would fully activate, unleashing capabilities that would transform humanity overnight. The network sent them the standard warning. Elena continued. "They have 24 hours to withdraw. But the real question is, what happens if they don't?" Chen moved to another console, entering a complex series of commands. A new hologram appeared, showing Earth's core. But this was no natural planetary core. It was a vast machine, a piece of engineering so advanced it might as well be magic. "The awakening protocol," he said softly. "After all these generations of waiting, we might actually see it activated." Elena studied the data streaming across her screens. The Hegemony ships were formidable, yes, but they were about to encounter something far beyond their understanding. Earth wasn't just another primitive world. It was a fortress, designed by beings who had transcended normal space and time. "They're launching probes," she reported, "crossing lunar orbit now." They watched as the moon's defense grid activated. The probes simply ceased to exist, converted to their base atomic components, and recycled into the lunar regolith. It was a deliberate demonstration, a warning far more sophisticated than mere destruction. "The hegemony has a reputation," Chen mused. "They don't retreat. They don't back down. In 10,000 years of recorded history, they've never withdrawn from a planned conquest." "Then they're about to make history," Alina replied. "Because if they don't withdraw—" She gestured to another display, this one showing the slow awakening of systems that had slumbered for millennia. "They'll learn why the precursors chose Earth as their final fortress." Throughout the facility, ancient machinery hummed with increasing power. In similar installations across the planet, other guardians watched and waited. This wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about fulfilling a promise made eons ago, when humanity's guardians first looked at primitive apes and saw the potential for something extraordinary. "Director," Alina called suddenly, "the genetic markers, they're accelerating. Whatever happens in the next 24 hours, humanity will not be the same afterward. The changes, they're irreversible." Chen smiled faintly. "Perhaps that's the point. Maybe this moment, this threat, is exactly what was needed to trigger our next evolution. The question is, are we ready for what we're about to become?" As if in answer, the facility's deepest systems began to pulse with energy. Above, the hegemony fleet held position, unaware that their simple conquest had just initiated something far beyond their comprehension. Earth's long dormancy was ending, and with it, humanity's time of innocence. The next 24 hours would change everything. The only question was whether the hegemony would be wise enough to withdraw, or if they would force the awakening of powers that had been hidden since the dawn of human civilization. The awakening. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Kexnar's fleet remained motionless, their 24-hour deadline ticking away. But on the surface below, something extraordinary was happening. Sarah Chen, a university student in Singapore, stared at her quantum mechanics textbook in bewilderment. The equations that had confused her for months now seemed blindingly obvious. More than that, she could see their flaws, their limitations, and ways to improve them that shouldn't have been possible. In Rio de Janeiro, mechanic Joao Santos found himself understanding the quantum architecture of his repair drone's I-core. His hands moved with impossible precision, making modifications that would have taken a team of engineers months to design. Similar scenes played out across the globe. Millions of humans were experiencing an awakening of dormant abilities, their minds expanding in ways that defied explanation. Back in the underwater facility, Alina and Director Chen monitored the cascade of changes with a mixture of awe and concern. The genetic modifications left behind by Earth's ancient guardians were activating faster than anyone had anticipated. "It's not just enhanced intelligence," Alina reported, studying the incoming data. "The changes are adaptive. Each person's awakening is unique, responding to their existing skills and knowledge. It's as if the modifications were designed to enhance what makes each human special." Chen nodded, watching as more displays lit up across the facility. "The archives warned us this would happen. When the threat comes, humanity will remember what they were meant to be." Above them, the hegemony fleet's sensors detected the changes but couldn't interpret them. Their scans showed massive fluctuations in human brain activity, energy patterns that shouldn't exist in organic beings, and quantum entanglement on a scale that defied their understanding of physics. "The moon base is fully active now," Alina said. "And look at this, the orbital defense grid that's been disguised as debris for centuries. It's reorganizing itself. The seemingly random field of space junk the humans had been tracking for decades was revealing its true nature. Defunct satellites and old rocket stages were transforming, showing themselves as nodes in a vast defensive network that encompassed the entire planet. But the most dramatic changes were happening within the human population. The awakening wasn't just enhancing their intelligence, it was unlocking abilities that bordered on the impossible. In New Delhi, a young programmer found she could interact directly with computer systems, her consciousness extending into the digital realm. In Kenya, a wildlife researcher discovered he could communicate telepathically with his subjects. Across the globe, humans were becoming something more than they had been. The Hegemony fleet is trying to launch another probe, Elena reported, more sophisticated this time. They're attempting to. She paused, watching as the probe simply vanished. The lunar defense grid didn't destroy it. The humans at the Bangalore Space Center, they somehow reached out and took control of it. They're dissecting its technology as we speak. Chen smiled. The archives said our potential was unlimited, that once awakened, humanity would rapidly surpass even our guardians' expectations. The facility's deepest sensors showed the changes spreading, accelerating. The ancient machine at Earth's core was pumping out energy patterns that interacted with human DNA in ways that even the facility's advanced systems struggled to analyze. In orbit, Admiral Kexnar watched with growing unease as his sensors reported impossible things. Humans were beginning to emit energy signatures similar to those of ascended beings. Their primitive communications networks were evolving into something that resembled organic quantum computing. 12 hours remaining, announced the same mysterious voice that had delivered the initial warning. But this time, it wasn't just heard on the bridge. Every member of the Hegemony fleet heard it in their minds, a demonstration of capabilities that shouldn't exist in a pre-FTL civilization. Elena studied the latest readings with amazement. The changes, they're not just random enhancements. There's a pattern. The awakening is organizing itself, creating a kind of collective consciousness while maintaining individual identity. It's beautiful. And terrible, Chen added softly, for those who would threaten us. The Hegemony fleet's sensors captured images of impossible events across Earth's surface. Humans levitating objects with their minds. Others manipulating energy fields that shouldn't exist. Children solving mathematical problems that had stumped the greatest minds in the galaxy. This was humanity's true inheritance, not just advanced technology, but the potential to transcend the very limits of their form. The ancient guardians hadn't just protected Earth. They had created the ultimate adaptive species, capable of evolving rapidly in response to any threat. As the deadline approached its halfway point, the question was no longer whether humanity could defend itself, but what they would become in the process. The awakening was reshaping their very nature, fulfilling a potential that had lain dormant since the first humans looked up at the stars and dreamed. The Hegemony had not just awakened a sleeping giant. They had triggered the next phase of human evolution. Counterstrike. With 6 hours remaining in the Hegemony's deadline, Admiral Kexnar faced a decision that would reshape galactic history. His fleet's sensors showed human capabilities expanding exponentially, but pride and centuries of Hegemony doctrine made retreat unthinkable. Launch the first wave, he commanded. Full invasion protocol. The moment the order left his lips, everything changed. The fleet's most advanced warships powered up their weapons, but found their targeting systems completely inoperable. Not damaged or hacked. The fundamental principles they operated on simply stopped working within Earth's sphere of influence. In the underwater facility, Elena and Director Chen watched as humanity's collective consciousness responded to the threat. Without any central coordination, humans across the globe instinctively knew what to do. A teenager in Tokyo, whose awakened abilities let her perceive quantum states, reached out and entangled the Hegemony fleet's navigation systems with a passing asteroid field. Suddenly, every attempt to move the ships resulted in them being pulled toward the asteroids instead of their intended targets. In Buenos Aires, a former chess champion whose enhanced mind could now process millions of tactical scenarios simultaneously coordinated a global response through pure thought. Other awakened humans instantly understood their roles in the defense. They're trying to launch fighters, Elena reported, watching the Hegemony's desperate attempts to maintain control. But as their small craft entered Earth's atmosphere, they encountered something unprecedented. The air itself seemed to resist them. In Colorado, a meteorologist whose awakening had given her control over atmospheric conditions reshaped weather patterns with a thought. Fighter craft found themselves trapped in localized storm systems that seemed to follow physical laws unknown to hegemony science. The genetic changes are still spreading, Chen observed. More humans are awakening every minute, and they're innovating. He was right. Around the world, newly awakened humans were combining their enhanced abilities in ways that even the ancient archives hadn't predicted. A quantum physicist in Geneva, working with a classical musician in Mumbai, found a way to use harmonics to disrupt the hegemony's shield frequencies. They turned the enemy's defensive systems into receivers for a symphony that reduced their technology to its component atoms. Admiral Kexnar watched in horror as his fleet's most basic systems began to fail. Humans weren't just defeating their technology, they were rewriting the underlying principles it operated on. Reality itself seemed to bend according to human will within Earth's vicinity. Impossible, he whispered, as his flagship's quantum core began to resonate with a frequency that shouldn't exist. On Earth, a group of children playing with their newfound abilities had accidentally discovered how to turn the ship's power source into a meditation aid. In the underwater facility, Alina's monitors showed the full scope of humanity's response. But it wasn't just about defense anymore. Humans were learning, adapting, evolving with every passing moment. They're not just repelling the invasion, she said in awe. They're transcending our guardians' expectations. The archives predicted enhancement. But this is transformation. Around the globe, awakened humans began to perceive connections that redefined their understanding of existence. A painter in Paris found she could see quantum fields as colors, leading to artwork that accidentally contained the solutions to century-old physics problems. A gardener in Kenya developed the ability to accelerate plant growth through pure thought, his connection to nature revealing secrets about consciousness itself. The hegemony fleet, once the most powerful force in known space, found itself reduced to watching in helpless amazement. Their weapons were useless, their technology unresponsive, and their very presence seemed to only accelerate humanity's evolution. 2 hours remaining, came the warning. But this time it was spoken simultaneously by millions of human voices, each adding their own harmonic to create a message that resonated through both physical space and the quantum realm. Admiral Kexnar finally understood. Earth wasn't just protected by advanced technology or powerful guardians. It was protected by potential itself, the unlimited capacity of humans to adapt, to grow, to transcend their own limitations. As his fleet hung powerless in orbit, he received one final message, this time carried on a wave of pure consciousness that bypassed all technological means of communication. "We could destroy you," it said, in a voice that was both singular and infinite. "But that's not what we're becoming. Leave now and carry this message to the galaxy. Earth is not a target. Earth is not a prize. Earth is where humanity is remembering what they truly are. And what we are becoming is beyond your comprehension." The message was clear. The counterstrike hadn't just defeated the hegemony. It had demonstrated that humanity was emerging as something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. New dawn. 1 year after the hegemony's failed invasion, the galaxy had changed irrevocably. Earth, once considered a primitive backwater, had become the subject of intense speculation and fear throughout civilized space. In the Grand Council of the Galactic Alliance, representatives from 1,000 species gathered to discuss the emergence of humanity. Admiral Kexnar, now serving as the chief expert on human capabilities, stood before them. "We fundamentally misunderstood what Earth was," he explained, his once proud voice now humble. "We thought we were waking the sleeping giant. Instead, we triggered the metamorphosis of a species that had been preparing for transformation since before our civilizations existed. The changes on Earth had stabilized but not reversed. Humanity had emerged as something unique in the galaxy's history, a species that could consciously direct its own evolution while maintaining its essential nature. In the underwater facility, now serving as one of many diplomatic contact points, Alina and Director Chen hosted representatives from across the galaxy. The facility's ancient technology no longer seemed so mysterious. Humanity had already begun to surpass it. "We're not interested in conquest," Alina explained to a group of wide-eyed diplomats. "We're interested in understanding, in becoming." The human transformation had followed an unexpected path. Rather than establishing a unified consciousness or ascending to pure energy as many species had done, humans maintained their individuality while gaining access to capabilities that defied conventional physics. Cities on Earth had become living works of art, their architecture responding to the collective dreams and needs of their inhabitants. The Moon, its defensive systems no longer hidden, served as humanity's first step into space, its surface covered in structures that seemed to grow organically from the regolith. "The most remarkable thing," Chen told his visitors, "is that we're still human. We still laugh, cry, create art, fall in love. We've gained incredible powers, but we haven't lost what makes us who we are." Across Earth, humans continued to discover new abilities. But rather than leading to chaos, these discoveries were integrated into a new kind of civilization, one where technology and consciousness blended seamlessly, where art could solve physics problems and music could heal diseases. The hegemony, its pride shattered but its understanding expanded, had been the first to propose a treaty of friendship with Earth. Other civilizations quickly followed, not out of fear, but out of fascination with what humanity was becoming. "We offer something new," Alina explained to the galactic representatives. "Not dominance, not transcendence, but continuous becoming. We are a species that can adapt to any challenge while remaining fundamentally ourselves." In orbit, where the hegemony fleet had once threatened invasion, a new kind of space station took shape. It grew like a crystal, responding to human thought and need, its surfaces shifting to create environments suitable for any species that wished to visit and learn. The galaxy was learning that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their new powers or ancient technology. It was in their ability to face the unknown with creativity and hope, to adapt without losing their essence, to grow without conquering. A year ago, Admiral Kexnar concluded his address to the Council. "I thought I was leading a fleet to conquer a primitive world. Instead, I witnessed the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. Humanity isn't just another species joining the galactic community. They are showing us all what we might become." On Earth, the sun set on cities that pulsed with conscious energy, on children who could reshape reality with their imagination, on a civilization that had remembered its purpose. The ancient Guardians' plan had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, creating not just a protected species, but one that could protect itself through endless adaptation and growth. Humanity had awakened not to become conquerors or gods, but to become something entirely new, a species that could face any future while remaining uniquely, wonderfully human. As night fell over the underwater facility, Alina watched the holographic displays showing humanity's continuing evolution. "We're not the end of the story," she told Chen. "We're just the beginning." Chen nodded, looking out at the darkened ocean, where ancient machinery still hummed with power. "And that's exactly why they chose us. Not for what we were, but for what we could become. A species that could grow forever without losing its soul." In the depths of space, other civilizations watched and wondered what this new dawn would bring. But on Earth, humans simply continued doing what they had always done best: dreaming, creating, and becoming more than they had been the day before. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity.